Outstanding work of our change agents and Dr. Johnny Cruz Craig. We worked on different topics, not just the normal thing. You know, we worked on culturally relevant teaching, social and emotional learning, trauma-informed classrooms, and the whole child, just to name a few.
In terms of what you all are doing and what it means to us and what it means to everyone, education is a foundational key. I think it was George Washington Carver that said education is the key to freedom, which is the tie and the link between education and social action.
Delta pushed early on that it's not just matriculating through a scripted curriculum that may not teach needed life and adaptive skills. We have been pushing through our gyms and other programs that you need to focus on educating the whole person so that our next generation has the basic life skills to navigate and adapt in now an even more demanding and unrelenting world environment.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone. We're so excited to have everyone here with us tonight. This is an exciting night. It's day 3 of our symposium. Welcome, everyone. Just a second. I'm sorry. We had audio issues here. We want to welcome everyone. Good evening. I'm Lavetta Levels, and I bring you greetings from Dallas, Texas. Let's go Cowboys. Let's go Mavs. And yes, let's go Stars. Welcome to the Texas Virtual Teacher Symposium hosted by Texas PACTS DTEC team. Texas PACTS, which stands for Parents, Administrators, Community, Teachers, and Students, is a coalition of stakeholders committed to advocate for fair implementation of ESSA, which is the Every Student Succeeds Act, and quality, equitable education throughout the entire Lone Star State. Our focus is to ensure that all stakeholders are working together collectively to guarantee that education remains a civil right for all of those in society, actively seeking knowledge and success. Whether it's your first time joining us or you've attended sessions before, we thank you. We know that on Sunday night, we kicked off with a great night. Last night was phenomenal with Dr. Lynn Jennings, and tonight is going to be even better. We appreciate your presence and your participation as we continue to learn and grow together. Where are you watching us from? Let us know. I see Dallas, Dr. Labata Taylor. Thank you. I see Georgia, Atlanta, Ohio, Tennessee. Thank you all for watching and participating. Please share the video. Invite your colleagues. We're so excited to have you. Text join tag 51555 so you can receive updates and correspondence regarding DTEC initiatives. Tag Yolanda, you're it.
Good evening, everyone. I bring you greetings from the south side of Houston, Texas. H-Town is in the house, and now I'm going to send you up 45 just a little bit north. Jennifer Tag, you're it.
Hi, I'm Jennifer McMillan, and I am from Dallas, Texas. It is so great to see each and every one of you here tonight. And Rachel Tag, you're it.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our virtual symposium. I bring you greetings from the Bayou City, where we're currently overflowing right now, but we're still making it. So H-Town, Houston, Texas. Lavetta said all her teams, even though we're not winning right now, I'm going to say the Texans, the Rockets, all of us, Astros. We won the World Series a couple of years ago, so we're going to let them do us like that, y'all. So I'm going to tag it over to Sharisa.
Good evening. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I am coming from the countryside of Houston, Texas. I am Sharisa Jordan, and I would like to welcome you to tonight's symposium. And so now I'm going to tag Keisha, you're it.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Greetings, everyone. My name is Keisha Wiley, and I bring you greetings from Dallas, D-Town. Welcome to the Educational Symposium. I have the honor and the privilege to introduce our special guest tonight. I am super excited. Our special guest is Mr. Nakia Douglas. Mr. Nakia Douglas is the Executive Director of TRIO and Pre-Collegiate Programs at UNT Dallas. He's a Dallas native and a graduate of Lincoln High School. All right, Tigers. His recent honors include the 2015 DISD Magnet Principal of the Year, the 2015 Simmons Young Leaders in Education Award, the 2015 Phi Delta Kappa Trailblazer Award, and the 2016 SMU Luminary Award. He has also been honored as KERA American Graduate Champion and DISD Exemplary Principal. And he was the founding principal of the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. That's right. Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy is a unique all-male public school that opened in Southern Dallas in 2011. Every member, y'all check this out, every member of his first graduating class in 2015 attended college. Can you say that? Come on now. Now, Douglas has traveled throughout the United States, internationally, researching best practices on academics and young men transitioning into adult life to design the school's program. Douglas has a master's degree in education from Houston Baptist University and an undergraduate degree in elementary education and teaching from Livingstone College. He served as the principal at Amasio Smith High School, Maynard H. Jackson Middle School, and Maynard H. Jackson Vanguard School. At each school, he aligned the district, campus, and community resources while creating a supportive environment for students, faculty, staff, and parents. He is the father to two amazingly brilliant children, and he is the husband to Miss Gloria Douglas. You all help me welcome Mr. Nakia Douglas. Yes, glad to have you here tonight, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good to be here with you all. Thank you for that introduction, but more importantly, thank you for this opportunity to share with you all. Tonight, I was asked to discuss specifically education being a game changer. When we think about education being a game changer, we come from a heritage where education wasn't always afforded to us. So within this, we have to be conscientious of what we do, how we do it, and what we have with our education. The compelling why for then. The compelling why for why education was significant in our pursuit once we cleared slavery was understanding the Middle Passage, understanding slavery, understanding what slavery did for us and the few opportunities we had within schools. There was the bondage, the separation of families, the abuse, not only mentally, physically, but also spiritually. The fear that became embedded within several members of our community before we fought back to understand our rights as human beings. The labor that was intensive, that broke our backs, broke our spirits, but ultimately the denial of our education and ultimately our heritage. From then to now, to be known and noticed, in 1619, we say the first slaves arrived in Jamestown, Virginia. But then we also look at, in the midst of that, there were those freedom fighters, there were those liberators of our spirit, of our culture, and of our race through the first HBCUs. We think about Cheyney University opening in 1837. We think about the Ashman Institute, which later became Lincoln University in 1966. And ultimately Wilberforce University opened in 1856. When we think about these opportunities, why were they made available to us? From then to now, understanding our heritage and ultimately everything that we've overcome. It wasn't until the Civil War that America even recognized us as full human beings. And then we move forward to the Civil Rights Movement with the Brown versus Board of Education in 1954 and the Higher Education Act, which actually began in 1965 to not only recognize our historically Black colleges and universities, but ultimately start providing funding for them. And to where we are now, our 2020 social justice movement, be it the health pandemic and our social justice pandemic. HBCUs, again, were the pathway to new freedom. So again, thinking about education being the game changer, this was the understanding for us. Where you hid the Bible from us, where you hid books from us, we found ways, we created ways, and with allies, we created a pathway that would never stop. And to this day continues to educate young men and young women from our culture. Again, going back to the Higher Education Act of 1965, this is when the federal government actually began to provide funding. So when you think about from 1619 to 1964, we were fully funding and finding ways to make sure that our students had access to education when our country was denying us this opportunity. HBCUs became game-changing experiences. A lot of us know the show A Different World, and it brought a new perspective for those of us who were young enough to participate and watch it then, and even for the younger generation that's now becoming adept in regards to the knowledge that comes from and the heritage that comes from our HBCUs. The experience. If you've attended a HBCU, you know that you're always going to be totally entrenched within the history of the campus. And for those who came before you, the experience and the intentionality of the education that provide, but ultimately the pride that exists, not only during your days there, but when you go back for homecoming, when you hear of young brothers and young sisters that are new applicants and or attendees of your alma maters, but then ultimately the excellence that was expected. The game changers, many game changers within our world today that you may not have known attended HBCUs, from Katherine Johnson, West Virginia State, from Oprah Winfrey to Samuel Jackson, to 2 Chainz, Alabama State. We think about the late beloved Chadwick Boseman, a Howard graduate, Erykah Badu, our own Dallas homegrown talent, Grambling State, Dr. Martin Luther King, Morehouse. We think about Thurgood Marshall. We think about Barbara Jordan, Booker T. Washington, Althea Jordan. Again, game changers who came from our HBCUs. If they know Wakanda, they should know about the history of our mother continent, Africa. If they know about King T'Challa, they should know about King Mansa Musa. If they know about the civil rights struggle, they should understand and internalize why our current Black Lives Matter struggle and our social justice struggle is in existence today. The compelling why of now. A lot of us work in communities where we know that mass incarceration is a major challenge within our communities. We all work in communities, unfortunately, where food, medical, and mental health deserts exist with the students that we serve. When we all look at the access to Wi-Fi capabilities for our students and for our communities. I specifically want you all to look at these numbers and see the overlapping. So whether you're from Dallas to Houston, to Georgia, to Ohio, to DC, to anywhere around the world, we know that most of the areas that are most impacted by these major challenges and character building opportunities are within our communities. So the compelling why of now is, what are we going to do to change the game for this next generation of leaders who will become our game changers in our society? The game changing of education starts with these components. First, you have to have a mission-driven effort. Your mission becomes your North Star. Your mission guides the leadership, it guides the faculty, staff, and the entire school community towards one purpose, singularly. So when we talk about, again, my work with Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy, that's mission-driven work. When we talk about the work that we all have, either as a teacher, as an administrator, as a parent, as a community member, as students within our school systems, it has to be driven by a mission, because that becomes your North Star when men and women fail us. Missions live beyond persons. The things that we have to look at within our schools of education, the systems that are in place to, again, not only create opportunities, but more importantly, instill opportunities beyond the people. Those people that are serving within the school community, be it the students, the parents, the entire faculty and staff, the supporters, and also the naysayers. Those persons all are intangible components of our school systems. The community, bringing in those resources, bringing in those persons, bringing in those time and talents beyond what the school curriculum does. And then ultimately the data. There's a philosopher named Sean Carter that says men lie, women lie, and numbers don't. If our schools aren't performing, we know that we are at a higher risk to have our schools closed, unfortunately, due to low academic performance. And then in everything we do, when we think back again across our heritage, it's been holistic. So we have to look at the academic, the emotional, ethical, physical, and social skill sets and growth and development of all members of our school communities. So what does that look like? How did that impact my professional journey? A long time ago, I started off as a kindergarten teacher in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and never thought I would leave the kindergarten classroom. But I was real intentional, again, remembering and reflecting upon not only my personal history, but the history of our race, the history of our culture, the history of our nation, the history of our people, and recognize that those strong teachers, those intentional educators that built and created an opportunity for me that I didn't think that I was worthy of. It was my responsibility to pay it forward to those students that I served as a kindergarten, first grade, and fourth grade teacher. I've also been privileged to serve as an elementary, middle, high school, and magnet school principal. Interesting part about that, I loop with my students as their elementary, middle, and high school principal. So within that, they understood the expectations. They understood the mission and vision that led our work. But more importantly, they understood my heart and what we were doing collectively as an entire faculty and staff to ensure excellence within the community. And then ultimately as a magnet school, my last principalship, I was as a founding principal of the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. Proud to say not only the class of 2015, but now they're up to their 6th graduating class, and there's still 100% graduation rate at that campus. Develop young men into impactful leaders through the development of their intellectual, moral, physical, social, and emotional skills for the global society of tomorrow. Beyond that, building better husbands and fathers for our families and communities. These young men have now gone on not only to graduate from high school, but to graduate from college and are making an impact throughout our society. So the intentionality of a mission-driven effort, focus and align with data, but more importantly, with a vision for the future for not only the students and the community, can be transformative. And then finally, as an executive director, I like to say, no matter what my title is, I'm still a teacher. So now my classroom has just gotten a little bit larger, where I got to impact students not only all over Dallas ISD, but now all over the Metroplex and across the country. Education being the game changer. Whether we go back to those one-room school buildings, or we go back to our first HBCUs, or we look at our current virtual school platforms, education is the great liberator. And it's through the power of liberators like each of us that are part of this call and others who are not a part of this call that we understand that we are called, what we're called to do, and what we're purposely passionate and prophetically positioned to do at this time. Education, the game changer. and the great liberator. Thank you all. We're going to open this up for some questions from you all. Looking forward to hearing from you all, but more importantly, looking to continue to admire the work that we're all doing and ultimately to support each and every one of you all.
Oh my goodness. I have, a slight bias because I've had the opportunity to work with you for quite some time. So I'll just be transparent. I began mentoring Nakia in 2006. And so I'm a proud mama right now. When a young man can come before thousands of people and share his heart like you did, not just your heart, but also your mission and your prophetic positioning, sir, and the intentionality of your mission. And I can appreciate the historical context and the foundation that you provide because people forget about 1619. I think that so often that's part of the issue today with a lot of our children today. They struggle and they're angry because they don't know about 1619. They don't know about the Middle Passage. They don't know about pre-civil rights. They don't know about the first HBCUs and the importance of HBCUs. So thank you for always giving us historical context. Thank you for always being true to who you are. And thank you, sir, for being a leader, not just in our community, but across the world. You've had such a huge impact on so many people. So I'm gonna let Keisha say a few things. I'm gonna come back because I'm kind of overjoyed right now because again I'm a proud mentor right now because I get to see the fruits of his labor, not mine. This has been his labor. So I'm so excited. Miss Keishla, chime in, ma'am, because I'm three.
All right. So from a proud mentor to a proud mentee, because Mr. Douglas has served as my personal mentor, and I am extremely excited about the information that you have shared with us tonight. And you talk about a game changer. We are witnessing and hearing from an actual game changer right now tonight in you. And so I want to tell you, thank you for that. I wanted you to kind of share a little bit about, because this is the story that pulled me in. There's always a connection that I have with individuals. And so when you talked about growing up in South Dallas and just going to school, going to high school and just that whole experience, and then how it kind of propelled you to go ahead and go to college. So I kind of wanted you to share that with our audience a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
So I am a native son of South Dallas, but for my mom sacrificed for my sister and I to go to private school from kindergarten to 8th grade. And I hated the experience, but I learned to value it after talking with a lot of my homeboys and homegirls in the community that they didn't have the same educational opportunities. And so therefore, when I understood my calling to go into education, I always wanted to make sure that we provided a private school education at a public school cost, from my classroom to my campus, to the entire feeder pattern, to now across all of DFW and North Texas.
Awesome. Also, Mr. Douglas.
Yes. Go ahead, Roberta. I'm sorry.
Yes. Go ahead, Keishla.
No, I was going to ask you.
I was going to say, you had. Yes, that's important to know. Is that Mr. Douglas? You see that?
You're right. Oh, we know that we were here well before 1619. And so that's why, again, that historical context of knowing what kingdoms were built in Africa. The reason why I wanted to point out, if you know T'Challa and he's a fictional character, you need to know about Mansa Musa, who's a part of our heritage. If you know, again, about Wakanda, which is a fictional country and continent, you need to know about all the kingdoms there in Africa. We come from a rich heritage. And when you have this knowledge of self, there's nothing that no man or no woman can dispel within you, not only with the pride that's there, but also you understanding your purpose in life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I know that you've done some work as you transition from elementary principal to middle school principal to high school principal to executive director. Can you share with us just 2 leadership lessons that you learned? Things that you would share with those persons that are coming up, or people that look at you and they don't know about your wounds, they don't know about your scars, they don't know about the times you said, "Nah, I'm done." They don't know about them backstories, them closet conversations. So share with them just 2 lessons that you learned as you continue to be successful along your trajectory of your career.
Yes, ma'am. always remain a student. And the real reality of it is, as much as they're called to lead, you're also called to learn. And there's everything that you can learn to be a successful administrator, to be a successful professional educator from every person within that school community. And then secondly, I know that leadership is situational. So from going from an elementary, I was following an exemplary principle. When I became a middle school principal, that was literally creating a middle school from scratch. When I went to the high school, that was turnaround work. And so my leadership style had to transform and had to continually morph to serve and support the community that I was called to do so. And then going into Barack Obama and then ultimately becoming an executive director, you understand that your responsibilities are increasing. More persons are watching, more persons are dependent on the decisions that you make and that you don't make. And so understand that every moment is a leadership moment. Every moment is a teachable moment, and you have to be present at all times.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's good.
So when you talk about leadership transforming, can you kind of elaborate on that? Because I think leaders, myself, we tend to think that we have to have one leadership style and that's it. So can you kind of elaborate on leadership transformation?
Leadership transformation, the best way to sum it up, it's the difference between Kmart, Walmart, and Amazon. Kmart wasn't willing to change their ways and adapt, and they've ceased to exist. Walmart has adapted and is doing quite well, but then there's that one in the back corner, that Amazon, that is looking to take over even that market as well. If we're not intentional as leaders, if we're not intentional as professional educators to continue to adapt, to recognize the students that we're serving, the environment that we're in, you're going to cease to exist. So you have to choose between being a Kmart, a Walmart, or Amazon to continue to be successful and intentional with the development of our future leaders through our school systems.
Well said. Thank you.
Share with us, what are you reading currently, or what is one of your favorite books that you would like to share?
One of my favorite books I often share with some of my mentees is Uncommon by Tony Dungy. When you enter into leadership, you're going to be uncommon. What was interesting for me when I came back to my old neighborhood, some people didn't take to me as well. When I first went back to Charles Rice specifically, they thought I was coming from Austin and that I was from TEA to investigate the school. And I never told them differently, but it wasn't until the first day of school when some of my classmates were dropping their kids off. And they were like, Nakia, I'm sorry, Mr. Douglas, is that you? They were like, how you know him? They were like, he's from the neighborhood. Well, why you didn't tell us? My work should speak for me. So if someone else always has to speak on your behalf, your work should precede you. Your character should precede you. And so don't think that anything is being unnoticed. That entire faculty and staff, the community is watching everything you do as a leader. Your students in your classrooms or within your buildings are watching you. And then also everyone that knows someone that knows you is watching you.
Yes, sir.
That is so true.
So Tia is asking, could you share the name of the book again?
The name of the book is Uncommon by Tony Dungy.
I got it.
And it's meant, initially it was meant for men. But again, as I share it, I look at it from a perspective that if you're going to be a leader, you got to be uncommon in your ways and in your thoughts and in your processing. You got to be uncommon in your stewardship of others. You got to be an uncommon servant leader to recognize who you are, whose you are, and who you're responsible for. And when you internalize all of that, it gives you an entire different mentality of what your space is in life.
Yes.
Tell us about your mistake. Tell us about a time when you made a mistake. Let's be real. I'm not saying anything, but tell the people that Nakia makes mistakes too.
Nakia makes mistakes. I made a whole lot when I was in college and in high school. I have some nicknames on the East Coast that people don't need to know about. But within that, what was powerful, I had mentors that caught me, pulled me to the side. When I was in North Carolina, I'll be, honest. I dated someone that I worked with, and when we broke up, it wasn't a good situation. And so the principal literally pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, I believe in the work you're doing as a teacher, but if you can't get your personal life together, it's going to stop you from having other opportunities professionally." As a 21-year-old teacher, I needed to hear that. I needed someone to pull me to the side and be honest with me. So anytime a mentor, a supervisor, or a peer pulls you to the side and corrects you, don't look at it as being something negative. Look at it as being something positive, because that's somebody that cares about you and sees something in you that you may not even see within yourself. And had it not been for Mr. Parker catching me early on in my career, I could have derailed everything. But those intentional persons, those divine appointments with persons, be it mentors, peers, and supervisors, are exactly for those very reasons, to support you, your development, and ultimately as you're serving and supporting others and their development.
Absolutely, indeed. And I just want to add to this before we get ready to transition to our next piece. The importance of our leaders and them pouring into us. You were that for me as first year principal. You were my supervisor. You were my executive director. You were my boss. And so when it wasn't right, you let me know. But when and I'm not trying to say it like that, but when it was correct, yes, you let me know as well. And so I attribute a lot of my success and just being able to lead with an open mindset to your leadership and to your guidance, just observing you and watching how you handle the people that you lead. So you take that very personally, but you that's important to you. And so again, I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for being the leader that you are, Mr. Nakia Douglas.
I received that, but I stand on the shoulder of other giants like Lavetta Levels, who again poured that. Everything I gave you, she gave to me.
All right.
I stand on the shoulders of a Shirley Ison Newsom, a Dr. Napoleon B. Lewis, a Dr. Marvin Shelton.
You already know a couple of your former bosses have already texted me, so they are watching you.
I sat on the shoulders of Illyria Howland, who came in to support our work with Barack Obama. I sat on the shoulders of my mom, who saw something and made sure, whether it was from private school or when she first took me to Lincoln and told the counselors, look here, I pay taxes here. I don't know what you're doing for the rest of these kids, but he's finna go to college. That was the expectation. And so everything that was poured into me, I made sure I poured into others. At 16 and 18, I traveled to Africa from Lincoln. And so it changed my mindset.
Made me cry.
So to know about the Middle Passage, I got to see and experience Goree Island and understanding the point of no return. When you have that internalized within your spirit, you can't do nothing but be successful, and not only be successful for yourself, but for others.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to shout. What I know about Nakia is a scholar, and if you haven't picked up on that, he is a man. First of all, who runs after God. First, second of all, he's a scholar. Now, second of all, he Gloria husband. Hey, Gloria, shout out to Gloria's husband, ladies. Very much married. And he allows us to share with our husband. So that's important to have a spouse that supports you. So I love that in how they work in their beautiful children. But I know that when you were preparing for Barack Obama, there was some situations going on in the district. You didn't know what was going to happen, and all of a sudden, overnight, I looked up you all across the world. You all in teaching. What was that? You was over there in Korea, Vietnam, and Taiwan, and Hong Kong. And how many more stamps are you going to get, sir? So please tell about the success of Barack Obama did not happen overnight. Tell us about your preparation before you even opened the door of the first day of school.
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes God has to break us to build us up. And when Ms. Levels and I again connected, I was at Maceo, and beyond the personal, professional challenges that we dealt with there in the school district, my wife and I went through a season of loss where we buried 4 kids, stillborn. And I remember totally immersing myself in the work, and what I saw during that time, God was helping me reprioritize my life. And in the midst of that, it used to be work, family, and then faith. Then once we lost the second set, it was family, work, and then faith. And God was like, you're not listening to me. You're not getting it. And each time we lost, I would always go back to work. And my staff asked me, they said, well, how do you keep coming back? I was like, I can't control matters of the heart. I can't control what God is trying to teach us. But what I can control, what I know he put me on this earth to do, was to be a professional educator and guide the development of students, faculty, and staff and communities. And God was like, you still don't get it. And so in the midst of that, he shut me down. He took what I thought was my gift away. And I was in a dark place. Again, Ms. Levels talked me through some conversations. I was actually on my way to either Baltimore or Chicago. And I was ready to go. But June 27, 2010, at 8 a.m., my supervisor finally met with me. At 12 o'clock that day, I get a call from Miss Shirley Ison Newsom, who gave me my first principalship. And she actually gave me my last principalship. And she calls me over and she said, you know where you're going? I said, no, ma'am. I said, but I'm a finalist for the position in Chicago, and Baltimore is scheduling an interview with me. And she tells me, you don't need to go. I said, what do you mean? And she says, come see me. I get to her office and she said, you sure you don't know where you're going? I said, no, ma'am. She said, well, I'm proud to announce that Dr. Hinojosa, under my recommendation, announced that you'll be the principal at the All Male Leadership Academy, which later became the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. I said all to say, sometimes God will break you and use you at your most vulnerable, insecure space in life, personally, professionally, and spiritually. And that's when he can use you. So Barack Obama wasn't Nakia Douglas. Barack Obama is a manifestation of God's will, God's grace, and God's provision. And I just happen to be a good vessel in the midst of it. So again, don't underestimate anytime you're going through challenges personally, professionally, and or spiritually. God is speaking to you. And if he's speaking to you, that means he's preparing you for something else. So your pain can become your purpose if you are willing to listen to the provisions.
Woo! 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 Ushers, can you please come at this time? Come at this time.
My goodness, hosting a revival this week, not a symposium, but a revival.
Right, we're gonna have to have the benediction in the moment. Woo, Lord. Okay, and I wasn't expecting that story. I knew that story, but I wasn't expecting that story. I thought you were gonna tell me how you travel, you learn about karate and about the Chinese and how you implemented that. But no, that's God using you. And Lavetta thought you were gonna keep it, surface, but you went deep. And thank you. Thank you. So it is now for our time for our Texas Table Talk. I could go on and on because we all know each other, but we're gonna go ahead and start the Texas Table Talk so that other people can talk with you. So if you all have any questions, please post your questions. Hey, Tori Page says hello, big brother.
Tori.
Hey, Dallas ISD. Everybody in Dallas coming on. They texting and they coming in. So Texas Table Talk. I'm coming out.
All right.
Well, thank you again so much. That was an amazing presentation and discussion. We are just so thankful to have you here to share with us today. Yolanda, would you like to introduce Texas Table Talk?
Yes, this is my favorite part again, but listening always to the guests first just gets me ready. Mr. Douglas, you said present at all times, intentional. And so again, with Texas Table Talk, remember we talked, bring that chair, be present at all times at the table. And so now we want to talk to Mr. Douglas at the table. And audience, we want you to come to the table with us. So send us some questions. Okay, well, we have one. Mr. Douglas, the first one is, why do you highlight the historical context of our passage from Africa to now?
For one reason specifically, a lot of that history is not within our textbooks. So some people think by way of their interpretation of slavery, that was a choice. It was not a choice, it was force. And so when we can highlight and more importantly, illuminate the true history and the heritage for not only our students, but for all students, it gives you a greater appreciation of your culture and the culture of others. But it also gives you a greater sense of self. And upon learning my heritage and learning the heritage of others, I had a greater understanding of people as individuals, people as for who they were, regardless of what their background was, socioeconomic status, and or their race. You see people for who they are, but more importantly, you can see yourself in the midst of it. So I want to take people on that passage that through the bondage, there was the overcoming, there was the joy, There were the successes that actually happened in a short amount of time through intentional, purposeful planning and actions.
Thank you. We have another. I'm sorry, go ahead, Yolanda. Did you have a comment?
Oh, yes. One thing that's missing from the history books. And so again, as we teach, we're talking about teaching a whole child. It is important that we impart that and we make, again, the culturally relevant teaching and pedagogy important and impart that into the classes as well. Would you agree?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it goes beyond the textbooks. So for those educators that are back in our schools, you can't just limit yourself to the TECs or whatever your state recommended curriculum is. You got to go above and beyond because we know what's missing. And then you have, different resources like Black History 365 that are now available where you can incorporate that into your lessons. When you think about most schools, they offer now African American and Hispanic studies courses. I would also push the ticket that we also add in full humanities courses and civics across our curriculum, because this again teaches you an awareness not only of each student's individual cultures, but also how to recognize, represent, and respect other cultures as well.
And Texas PACTS is here today because we all started learning about culturally relevant teaching back in DTEC. So it's a great transition to where we are today.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Our next question is, college is not for everyone. So how do you guide those kids for life after high school?
You expose the kids to everything. And that's powerful. I'm thankful for that question. College isn't for everyone. And so for those students that may want to go to trade school, or for those students that may even have an interest in the military, you teach them that you're going to be a great citizen no matter what path you decide on, but that they will be equipped to be successful no matter what path they decide. So if you're going into the military, you make sure that, again, not only are they mentally sound, but that they're physically sound as they're preparing for those exams. If they're looking at trade schools, let them find out, okay, would I like to do mechanics? Would I like to do, own my own barber beauty shop? Or what am I really interested in? It's by way of exposure that our students have more opportunities. Our students are not only sometimes mistakenly left out of, how can I say, academic opportunities, but also exposure opportunities that enlighten them and enrichen them about fields, careers, pursuits of happiness that they may not have ever considered.
Okay, we have another question. This is from Ms. Labata Taylor. What have you learned as ED and higher education to improve college and career readiness in pre-K through 12 and higher ed?
Yes, ma'am. Higher ed is a different creature. I really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed every level, but when you think about what I've learned there and how we apply it within a PK-12 context, a lot of it is getting higher ed professionals and K-12 professionals together, bridging the gap. I've been privileged to be able to bridge a lot of gaps between a lot of schools across our university and to the community. And for some, they just had never had the introduction and or saw a way to tie that work in. And then even from the higher ed perspective, everyone doesn't always have to come to us. We have to be intentional in going out to them. And so that's the beauty of my work with the TRIO and pre-collegiate program. I have the federal arm of grants that are available to me, but also have the state and local grants. And within all of them, I get to bring the community and the university together. So being intentional in regards to us having a presence throughout the community, letting students know as early as pre-K all the way up to 12th grade that college is an option for you. And if not, these are the other pathways that you can choose to follow. Again, exposure, intentional exposure to opportunities and persons like myself and others, and bridging the gaps where those bridges and of communication may not have existed previously.
I really like all of the connections between the pre-K to 12 and not only higher education, but also the community and trade schools as well, because We have a lot of students that they don't want to go to college, but knowing that there are programs out there for them, and a lot of them are being started in high school now, where they can get that exposure, really helps them to find that career path that's right for them.
Yes, ma'am. And that's exactly it. Again, I'm a neighborhood kid. When I say I grew up in South Dallas, I used to ride the bus to Oak Cliff to go to the boys club, to go to the YMCA, you name it. I was probably in one of those community programs, but it was through those programs that I got exposed to opportunities. It was through even being at Lincoln, and literally I joined Future Teachers of America because they went on field trips. I never planned on being a teacher, but one of my mentors, Miss Glorious Dixon, she specifically told me one day, "You make a great teacher." And I remember telling her back then, "I'll never be a teacher. The kids too bad and y'all don't make enough money." Well, that was 24 years ago. And her casting that vision upon my life and seeing something that I didn't see was something that I needed at that moment. And it planted a seed that has stayed with me to this day.
Yes, our teachers are so important.
We are.
Yes. Our next question comes from Kevin Johnson. Being from South Dallas, how did you defy the stereotype?
I'm a walking redefining of stereotypes. Single parent household, first generation college student. We weren't poor, we were poor. I have friends that to this day that their kids are my nieces and nephews, and likewise for my kids, because I used to sleep on their couches, or they helped me get around, or they let me wear their clothes to school. I had some struggles growing up, and sometimes your pride won't allow you to ask for help. But those people that are closest to you, and again, are walking that journey with you, or see something in you that you may not see in yourself, will always lend themselves as such. And their deliberate and intentional support of me has allowed me to remain deliberate and intentional for my support of others. So don't forget what you came over. When I think about that message coming from Coach Kevin Johnson, he was one of those coaches and teachers that were there at Lincoln that were a part of my development. I'm forever grateful to him and all the men and ladies that were part of that educational season of my life, because without them, there would be no me. Right now, some people are saying I'm a game changer, but I could have been your worst nightmare had it not been for some of them, because I was savvy enough and educational enough and hungry enough that I knew I was getting out of South Dallas one way or another, but they showed me how to do it through the power of education.
Teachers definitely make a difference in the lives of their students in ways that we can't even imagine.
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely. And the beauty of educators that most people forget, there's no career known to men or women that exists without the power of educator. And for our parents, you need to understand you are your child's first teacher. They value education the way you value education. I saw the value of education through my mom's sacrifices to ensure that we had the best education, whether it was in private school or public school. Parents, what God is making evident in the midst of our pandemics is you need to get back to basics. If you've never looked your son or daughter in the eye and told them, I expect good grades, this is unacceptable in my household, you have been divinely given that time to do so. If you hadn't been connected with your family, if you hadn't been connected with your kids, God divinely prepared this time for us to do so. So again, in the midst of the journey, in the midst of the struggle, in the midst of the challenge, find the blessing in the midst of it. And it's beautiful, the outcomes that are going to come from this.
Okay, our next question is coming from one of the audience. I just do not want to tear up your name. I'm so sorry. So we're going to read your question.
I'm going to help you with that.
You got it? Okay, because I do not want to tear it up.
That is Brother Cienzi Cuomo. He is a 2016 graduate from the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. He just graduated from Babson College and is about to pursue his MBA at the University of Florida. Again, you have to be intentional with those relationships, knowing your students, knowing your mentors, knowing your mentees, knowing your faculty and staff, knowing your parents, and knowing your community. Brother Cienzi, your question is, where do you see the future of education, and how can we better communicate the value of it to our youth? Education will never be the same. And so when people used to say that there was a lot of bureaucracy that stops educational attainment and or opportunities within our school systems. Again, God divinely used COVID-19 and our social justice pandemic to show us that that is not the case. So when we think about the flexibility of what schooling will look like, it's going to be flipped classrooms. There are going to be more students and parents that are going to be demanding an excellent education that is not test driven. Teachers will no longer be allowed to teach to test. They will teach and then test. That is the intentionality of what we have to make sure and ensure that our school systems do not return to, that they are test driven, that is not being led by the instructors there, but unfortunately, persons outside. We have to come back and take ownership of the schools, of the curriculum, and of the expected outcomes for our students. And the future of education is it's going to become even more nimble. And again, those who aren't willing to change their ways or change their habits, they have a choice. Either you're going to be Kmart, Walmart, or Amazon. And unfortunately, for those that are stubborn in their ways, they will cease to exist and or barely exist like a Kmart. For those that are in the middle and teetering back and forth, thinking we're going to go back to the old way, you may exist as a Walmart right now, but there's that Amazon. There's that new, shiny, inventive, creative, intentional, purposely focused educational platform that's creating a new paradigm for what public education will look like. And not only from the K-12 sector, but also for higher ed. Students there are demanding more. You know, there are now conversations in regards to, if you're providing a virtual experience for me, why do I have to pay for room and board? We have to think, and again, we have to adapt everything that we're doing, or if not, we'll cease to exist.
Okay, well, I tell you. Go ahead, Jennifer, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say this has been such an amazing opportunity to listen to you speak. It has definitely taught me so many things. So thank you so much for coming, being with us tonight.
Thank you all for having me.
Yolanda?
Well, again, thank you. I tell you, again, you all keep those chairs so that you are having a seat at the table. And I tell you, I'm not getting up from the table this evening, but our time is going on, and they have told me I'm going to have to get up. So I'm going to tag Rachel. And thanks again, Mr. Douglas.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Douglas, I feel like I'm supposed to say, is there one right now? I feel like I'm supposed to open it up to everybody so that they know that you didn't just give us knowledge and wisdom. You were just, oh God, I've been reading Brené Brown. I mean, you were vulnerable with us. You were giving us, your heart. You were telling us all of these great things. And you took me back to my freshman year at Morris Brown College, where I took history of Africa and diaspora. That was the first time I learned truly about myself. Don't get me wrong. I knew about the civil rights movement and everything else, but I didn't learn about me. And wait, Timbuktu, that's where the Greeks came to learn. Oh, you mean like all of these people that we kind of vilify, like, when we talk about Asclepius, who is like the person who they do the Hippocratic Oath to and all this other stuff. Like, you need to know who that is. Like, where did they get that from? Like, we weren't slaves, man. They didn't bring slaves to the America. They brought doctors, they brought scholars, they brought all of these people. So you had me in the back, like I don't know if you saw me, but I was in the back like, come on, man, do it one more time. But this was amazing. I am just truly excited about you empowering people to go forward. And we just want to give you a token of our appreciation. We have this certificate for you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge tonight with our virtual Education for All Symposium. You gave us so much of yourself tonight, and we just thank you so much. So you really are the man, Mr. Nakia. I'm fanning out with everybody else now. All right, so I'm gonna bring the money woman up. She's gonna spin the wheel and see who wins tonight, Miss Keishla.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Thank you again, Mr. Douglas. I'm gonna put you in the back for just a moment, but thank you so much for sharing tonight. All right, guys. Hey, like I told you, you got you should be so full. And we've seen the comments, pass the plate. Tonight has been amazing. So again, thank Mr. Douglas. If you have not done so, if you haven't registered for the rest of the symposium, you still have time. The registration link will be going across the screen, and you can also grab it out of the comments. Please register for the conference, but also for the symposium, but also be sure to fill out our survey and let us know how things are going. Share with us your feedback. Entering and sharing with us your feedback will allow you to be entered into a drawing and for a Visa gift card. And so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and pull those names of those individuals. We're going to give away 2 Visa gift cards tonight. So again, thank you to those who've already registered and provided feedback on the survey. If you haven't done so, be sure to do so. All right, our first winner is Miss Demetria Leslie. Congratulations, Miss Demetria Leslie. And our second winner is Miss Teresa Caldwell. Congratulations to our winners, and thank you all for your participation and for sharing with us. All right, Sharissa, tag your it.
Well, thank you, Keisha. Again, I want to send a huge shout out to Nakia Douglas. You know, I am a UNT grad, so I am very proud to listen to the wealth of knowledge that he gave us tonight. But right now, I would like to also send a huge thank you to our following sponsors, so everybody can endure and have wonderful monetary values of these gift cards we were getting out for every night. So we would like to thank the Houston, Texas Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, the Dallas Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the East Harris Chambers Liberty County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Suburban Houston Fort Bend Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and to our biggest donors and our biggest sponsors who made this all happen for Texas PACTS to be alive today in a living, breathing movement for our own, teacher efficacy and advocacy. We have the Delta Teacher Efficacy Campaign, Teachers Leading Great Change, which is the DTEC-TAG, and the Delta Research and Educational Foundation, known as DRIFT. So again, thank you to our sponsors. And now I'm going to tag Lavetta. You're it.
Again, I'm full. I know this is our third night. We started off Sunday night. We kicked off with Carolyn E. Lewis, the president of DREF, and our national project director, Dr. Johnny Cruz Craig. And they shared the information about how DTEC started. They shared the work of DREF. And so we had a foundation of what DTEC is about and about what it means to be an equity warrior and why we are advocating for so much change. Then last night, we received data. We received national data and data specific to Texas from Dr. Lynn Jennings with the Education Trust. And she shared with us the importance of the numbers in the data. She talked about the disparity of representation of teachers of color across the state of Texas and the effects on those children not having a person of color in front of them. And then tonight, Mr. Douglas himself, sharing his heart, sharing his leadership, sharing his trials, his tribulations, and his awards and his recognition and his success. And then he started off talking about the African-American history, the context, the historical context. He talked about the importance of knowing your history. This has just been divine order, because on tomorrow night, we have the co-author with us, Miss Aisha Davis, who led the state of Texas at the State Board of Education, ensuring that we even have African-American education in the Texas curriculum. So it's just amazing how this is working out every night. Not only will Miss Davis be here with us, but Miss Patterson is here. She's the Deputy Superintendent of Academic Achievement in Sheldon ISD. So she will share about accountability and assessment at the district level. And Aisha's going to share with you at the state level some current legislation, as well as the success that she has had. Again, phenomenal night, Mr. Nakia. Everybody come back. Texas team, let's have everybody back. This has been a wonderful night. I can't say thank you enough. I want to thank all of the Dallas ISD, the the former employees and educators and administrators, the current administrators, they are texting and tagging me like crazy. So shout out to all of you. I don't want to miss anybody. Kamaya Cotton, Kevin Johnson, Tori Page. If I miss anybody, I'm sorry. Dr. Labata Taylor, everybody. We see all of you all, and we appreciate. Make sure you complete the survey. Make sure that you register for it Wednesday night and also Thursday night. The one, the only, my pastor, Dr. Reverend Frederick Douglas Haynes III is going to close us out on Thursday night with a huge social justice challenge for all educators and participants of the symposium. So I'm full. I don't know about y'all. I'm good. I don't know what to say, but again, thank you, Nakia. It's been a wonderful evening. Make sure you text Join Tag to 5155. Join Tag to 5155. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
We gotta fight against them, but we need numbers. We need to show up at school board meetings. We need to show up at county commissioner meetings. We need to have someone on the agenda to talk and know what they're talking about to advocate.